so bright, but I don't need no friends. As long as I gaze on Waterloo sunset, I am in paradise.
Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. We are on MMAOddsbreaker.com. I am your host, Lance Fishel, and as always, my co-host, Jay Primetown. Jay, what's up, man?
Doing okay. Another week of MMA. Looks like we're going to London, and we got another Bellator card. A lot of heavyweight fights. On Friday. So this is going to be a fun show. Looking forward to it.
My other co-host, Nate Miller. Mad Dog, how you doing, man?
Doing good. We had a little bit of a long start before we started recording, so I already got one beer down, opening my second one right now, and getting ready to break down preview some old fights and then break down some new ones, so it's going to be fun.
Sweet. I'm almost one whiskey down. Mad Dog's almost the tall boy down. This is going to be a good show. Next up is my Jewish friend, I think, who's having the same drink as I am. Brad, what are you drinking?
I am drinking some good old Ryan whiskey. I think we're drinking different brands, but, in solidarity between Jewish brothers.
What brand are you drinking?
Weiser's.
Is that Canadian?
I guess so.
Is whiskey in Canada all Canadian whiskey?
I'm pretty sure it is.
It's bottled Canadian piss. They have tons of it.
It's like Canadian bacon. Like, what is that?
We don't have Canadian bacon in Canada.
I mean, we have American cheese here, but we still call it American, so I don't know what's up with you guys.
Anyway, this is giving me a headache, so let's move on to the first word, which I guess I was vetoed on, so I'll change it up. I guess we'll talk about oversaturation in MMA, because that seems to be a hot topic now for MMA media who get paid to cover the sport, yet bitch about it all the time. So Jay, I'll start with you. Is this too many fights? Yes or no? And how sick of you are the media people who get paid to cover fights, bitching about covering fights?
Yeah, I'll answer your second question first. It's extremely tiresome to hear people who get paid to write per article usually. Most people in journalism get paid by the article. So the more fights you have and the more events you have, you're going to write more articles, you're going to get paid more. So I don't understand the point of complaining. As for the events themselves, yeah, I guess this really came up because the UFC announced, 2 events in one day, in May, one in Brazil it sounds like, and the other in Berlin. I don't really have an issue with it because I think, fans of the sport want to see more, and what's wrong with having an event each weekend? But there are a lot of other promotions. Compared to 5 years ago, there's just more promotions readily available on TV. Whether that's Bellator on Spike or World Series of Fighting on NBC, or now you got Titan on and all the access shows. So there's a lot of MMA, I guess, and maybe that's where the people are. Really, maybe they're starting to get tired of it, I guess, maybe, but, whatever, like, quit complaining and, just enjoy the fact that you can watch, the sport you love, kind of anytime, any weekend, so, whatever.
Brad, I'll go with you, Nate, first. Nate, thoughts on too much MMA?
I don't know if there is such a thing. I understand it is oversaturation a little bit. You get to a point where there's not as much anticipation. It's not as exciting. I know that back in the day when there was a UFC every 3 months, God, I was watching, or researching fighters, for 3 months straight. It's annoying as hell. And, it's really, I like it now, but I guess I can't say from a journalist perspective because I really don't write anymore. I find it annoying. I prefer to talk. That's why I do podcasts. But, as a gambler, if I don't know somebody, let's say I miss a fight card, which I'm not. If it's one of the big 4 promotions, I say 4 now because I'm going to include Titan just because they're on TV. But of the
Yes!
big 4, I'm just gonna. If we're counting horrible lighting and World Series of Fighting gets a pass, Titan has to get a pass too. So part of the big 4, I'm not going to miss a big card from the big 4. But let's say something does happen and a guy that I missed has a fight coming up. As a gambler, I'm not going to gamble on him because I don't know anything about him. I missed his fight. It's not that big a deal. I'm not horribly broken up about it. I don't know why people have such hard time with this. The only way you could possibly be mad at the situation at all is if you're a big believer in that old fictitious statement, UFC quality. If you believe that you have to be so good to be in the UFC, then you don't like these big cards because there's too many cards, there's too many fighters, and it's not the elite anymore. If you like that, I understand why you're frustrated. Otherwise, there's no reason to be mad. More MMA is good.
Exactly. I mean, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Brad, thoughts here?
I have to echo some of Mad Dog's sentiments. I came and started getting into MMA really deep at the time when you would have to go on forums and talk about fights for a month or two in advance because there wasn't all the MMA going on. So I enjoyed that. I kind of missed that, but at the same time, I would much rather watch fights every week or every 3 days or, there's days where I watch, like this past weekend, we watched Bellator, then there was Titan, then you slept for like 4 hours, then there was UFC, then there was Cage Warriors. I love that. I would do that every day if I could. So when you've got people that are bitching about, I have to watch all this MMA, if it's a chore for you, just don't fucking do it.
Yeah, and I'm with Brett here. It's funny because there's certain things that you only see in MMA with like the bitching and complaining, and this is one of them. Like, I'm a baseball fan, a diehard baseball fan. Baseball has been my favorite sport since I was a little kid to watch, and like, they have 162 games every season for each team. There's 32 teams, or 31 or 32 teams in baseball. And yet, I don't hear people complain there's too many baseball games. I hear people complaining that there's too many fights because there's 12 fights a week in the UFC. It's crazy to me. Baseball, there's like thousands of games in a year in like a 4-month span, and no one says anything. But MMA, it's always this bitching or like Mad Dogs, UFC caliber. Like, great, there's gonna be guys in the UFC who suck ass, just like guys in other sports who are in the majors who suck ass or anything like that. I mean, it happens, but would you rather watch some guys who aren't as great fighting in the UFC, or would you rather be not watching MMA? I just don't see the issue. Like, I love baseball, but if I don't want to watch a baseball game, I don't watch a baseball game and the discussion's over. I don't know why in MMA we have to talk about this so much. So, 2 events in 1 day, that sounds great. I know what I'll be doing for about 12 hours. So, let's talk about a card that we got up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning to watch, which was UFC Tough China finale. It was actually a card that ended up being pretty fun, shockingly enough. So, let's jump in. We'll start, and I'll go through all the fight paths, just read the results. Actually, they're all fight paths, the prelims, and then we'll go up to the main card. So, to start off the card, we had Marka Diva defeating Jumabeke Turkson by decision 30-27 across the board. I know Brad did have that big upset. Next, we had we'll just say Wang defeating Albert Chang by TKO via cut at the end of the first round. Then we had Vaughn Lee looking very impressive, defeating Nam Fan by unanimous decision 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. And finally, we had Yuchu Nam defeating Kazuki Tokodome by split decision 29-27, 29-28, and 27-28. And what was actually a pretty fun fight and an interesting scored fight. I thought the first round was about as 10-8 as a fight could possibly be. But before I jump into the main card, just real quick, 10 seconds each, guys. Mad Dog, I'll start with you. Thoughts on the prelims?
Actually, the only fight on the prelims I saw was Nam and Tokodome, which was a really fun fight. I really enjoyed it. I had it on Twitter. I think February for 2014 has been the worst month in MMA history. I don't know why. Just every card was terrible. But as soon as we broke into March, man, this wasn't a bad card. Everybody was just, and maybe it wasn't as bad because of we had such low expectations in it. But maybe that wasn't it. It actually was pretty good for the fights that I saw. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's funny. The card we all like shit on and thought had no chance of being good was actually exciting and being one of the best cards of the year so far, which is depressing. But Brad, thoughts here?
Well, the fights that we expected to suck, the ones that we didn't even break down on the show, they really weren't all that great. Although my boy Mark Edova, in his 3 years off from the sport, he went to, I don't know, some sort of secret lab and became a good fighter. So I'm glad that happened because it was funny. I'm going to preemptively give one of my Performance of the Night awards to Jumabeke Turkson for convincing everybody that he was actually a half-decent fighter coming into this fight.
That is fair. Jake, 10 seconds. What you got here?
The Chul Nam fight was crazy. I mean, I really thought that was a 10-7 first round. I've never scored a 10. I can't remember the last time I scored a 10-7 round before.
Yeah, Frankie Edgar, Gray Maynard 2, I think was the time that
That's
I
a long time ago.
I know, that's the only one I can think of where it was a 10-7.
Ryan Bader, Anthony Peroche, round 3.
And that was scored a 10-9, if that tells you anything about MMA. All three, Ryan, the 30-27 by Ryan Bader over Anthony Peroche was the worst scorecard I've ever seen, I think. For getting it completely right. I mean,
for getting it right and then getting it completely wrong at the same time.
You could have legit scored that 30-24, and I would have been like, that's a very good scorecard.
What about the 29-28 in Nam and Tokodome?
I don't want to talk about that, but let's move up to the main card. We start in the featherweight division. We have Hatsuhioki defeating Ivan Menjivar via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. I guess not much to say here. It was Hatsuhioki tried to lose the fight, but couldn't pull it off. Mad Dog, quick thoughts here.
I don't have any quick thoughts. It was a good fight. Actually, I thought it'd be pretty boring. It turned out to be pretty entertaining. Hioki looked good. Glad he's back in the win column. Can't wait to see what he does next.
Those are some perfect quick thoughts. Brad.
Yeah, Hioki always likes to make it more difficult on himself than he has to, but Ivan Menjivar is just not a good enough fighter to take advantage of that completely.
Jay, what's next for Hatsuhioki?
I'd like to see him face the Jimmy Hedges Dennis Bermudez winner. I think that would be an interesting grappling type of fight. And I think that would be fun. Good, a good matchup style wise.
Next up in the heavyweight division, we had Matt Mitrione defeating Sean Jordan by knockout in the very first round with 1 second to go in the round. Matt Mitrione looked good. He hurt Sean Jordan, saw the kill, and went forward and won the fight. And I actually picked up a point on you guys because of Mitrione, so comeback train is underway. Mad Dog, thoughts on this fight?
Well, you need about 12 more of those points, Lance, so hopefully you get
Six
lucky.
more.
Well, you're not gonna get them all in one event. You're gonna lose a few in between, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, this is one of those few knockouts. I think this was like in the last second of the fight. There's only like 1 second left. But besides that, Mitrione looked good. He looked really good. I actually leaned him to begin with, and then I just thought Jordan was a safer pick, and so apparently I was wrong. Yeah, but good performance by Mitrione.
Brad.
Yeah, not much to add here. Mitrione hits hard. Jordan doesn't have the greatest chin, and that's what happens at heavyweight.
Jay, what's next for Meathead?
Yeah, a lot of the heavyweights are kind of occupied, but I'd like to see him face the Palele Potts winner. Assuming Palele wins, I think that would be a pretty decent fight to match up each guy. Probably around the same area of the division, so why not?
That works. Next in the welterweight division, we had the Tough China finale, which apparently there was a season of Tough China that I just found out about. We had Zhang Lipang defeating Wang Sai, and I think that's the third Wang of the night. But anyway, it was a split decision win for Zhang Zipang, as it looked like a bad decision. I watched the fight. It was actually a pretty fun fight if you like horrible MMA. So yeah, I thought it was a bad decision, but I really didn't give a fuck, so I didn't even take the energy to tweet out that's a bad decision. I think I just tweeted out 3 dots. Mad Dog?
I actually didn't see this one live on recommendation from people. Although I do hear it was a robbery, I have no comment myself, so I'm just gonna move along.
That's awesome. Brad?
Yeah, this was just a sloppy mess, and sometimes those can end up being entertaining, but I thought that the decision went the wrong way.
Jay, did you even pick someone for Zhang Lipang to fight? How about, like, Johnny Hendricks?
Just like have Benny Alloway come back and fight him.
This guy would smash John Fitch. Zhang Lipang. Did you pick anyone for him?
No, I didn't. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to even grade this guy and what kind of caliber he is, because it just seems, I don't know, like technically, like they showed like decent transitions and stuff, but like everything kind of seemed to be in slow motion though. It was weird.
It was one of the worst fights I've ever seen, sloppy wise, but it was kind of fun. Anyway, let's move to the welterweight division. We had actual fighters fighting, which is the change of pace from the last fight, as we had Dong Yong defeating John Hathaway by spinning back death elbow, and man, this was even earlier, whatever time it was at that point, I jumped off my couch, and I think I yelled Dong really loud. But I don't even remember. But man, it was an excellent knockout, and man, the stun gun is just, he's a new fighter. This was a great win, and John Hathaway, he came out, went all the way to China, hadn't fought in 2 years, and got brutally, viciously knocked out. Mad Dog, thoughts?
You said that Dong's a new fighter. He does look completely different. Like, a year and a half ago, if you'd asked me to sum him up, I would have said lay and pray, and he's just completely evolved his game since then. I'm a big John Hathaway fan. I always have been for quite a while now, and he looked good up to the point of absolute brutality, but it was a fun fight, and definitely front runner for knockout of the year so far.
Brad.
Yeah, definitely knockout of the year, knockout of last year. Jay and I were talking about this, and it was one of the best knockouts that either one of us has seen in this decade, really. So Dong Young Kim, he's the big spinning dong. It's awesome.
I gotta go with Ronda Rousey, knockout of I can't even finish saying it. Alright, let's do our biggest takeaway. Mad Dog, I'll start with you. What is your biggest takeaway?
Who's Big Spitting Dong gonna face, Jay?
Oh, I forgot about Jay.
I want to see him face the Canadian.
There's a lot of Canadians. Brad?
No, not that Canadian.
I could take him. I'd run away for a couple rounds and he'd gas out.
You don't want
The one who nicknamed himself Aries.
God, I hate that guy.
Oh, the water boy?
It would be all sorts of awesome. That would be
Awful.
a great fight. Make that a main event somewhere. I don't care where it is.
He would take down Dong and lay on Dong. He'd lay on Dong all night. Anyway.
Has Dong ever been laid on? I thought young Dong usually does the laying.
Sometimes people lay on the Dong. It depends on the mood.
It's rare. It depends on the Dong, but not
Depends
this.
how much energy the Dong has.
Depends
Well,
on the girl.
Maya tried to lay on the Dong, but the Dong couldn't take it.
Yeah, the Dong's rib popped out.
That's a totally different kind of Maya.
Alright, let's go to biggest takeaway. Mad Dog, what was your biggest takeaway from the card? And I'm pouring a drink, so I'll try to be quiet.
My biggest takeaway has to be Nam Fan is just terrible. He can't even win when they try to get him one.
Brad.
It seems like we've got a little trend here going where the underdog in the first fight of every night is coming through. So, Phil Harris, all in.
Alright, Jay?
The Dong has turned himself into, from a ground and pound type of fighter, most people, kind of call him boring, to one of the must-watch fighters in mixed martial arts. I think that's pretty remarkable. And he kind of did it on purpose.
I think I'll go back to the thing we've talked about before, but I guess don't judge a book by its cover. This was supposed to be a horrible card that people weren't going to wake up for, and it ended up being fun. But next up, let's do we'll do our quick bonuses and then move on to Bellator 110, which we'll have to start doing quick. I keep forgetting what time it is. But anyway, fight of the night, Mad Dog.
Hyojo Nam and Takadome.
I don't think you said a name, but I'll take it. Brad.
I've got to go with the same fight. That was amazing.
And Jay.
Yeah, I'm going to sweep the board. Any fight that has a 10-7 caliber round is going to be a fight of the night.
I'm going to go Wang Anything and Albert Ching. I didn't see it, but I can tell Wang Anything. Keep those down. So let's do our two performers of the night. Mad Dog, what you got?
It's gotta be Kim for one, has to be. And the other one, if you're just gonna throw one out there, it's gotta be Matt Mitchell. Let's keep it simple.
Brad?
Dong Young Kim for that knockout, and Vaughn Lee for just the clinic.
And Jay.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Brad, Vaughn Lee and Dong.
And I'm gonna go Zhang Lepang and Wang Anything. So that'll...
Are you gonna Wang Chung tonight?
I mean, it depends.
Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
Brad was so proud of himself for that joke. I think he DM'd me, was like, dude, did you get my joke? Anyway, that's gonna do it for UFC Fight Night Tough China. So let's move on to Bellator 110, which the amazing analysis and the amazing work we put into this show really showed its true colors as a team. The MMA Analysis missed every single pick on the featherweight tournament. So that featherweight tournament is actually over for us, as we were all awarded no points, and may God have mercy on our souls.
Wait,
You three got 1 point. I got no points.
God.
Oh, we got 1 point. That's right. Who do we get?
You guys
we
got
got
one.
German. The German.
Weitzel. Daniel Weitzel.
No, the
Germans are
Belgian or
coming.
German?
That's right.
He's German.
Yeah, German.
So we all got 1 point, but then we lost.
No, Brad had 0
I got
points.
0.
But you got 0?
Yeah.
You're terrible.
You know what's even more terrible? Lance's math skills.
I haven't. You know what? I'm tired. Anyway, we'll do the same thing. The prelim card, I'll read the results, and we'll do the same thing as normal. Featherweight tournament, in the first round, we had Daniel Weichel defeating Scott Cleave by submission rear naked choke in the first. And then we had Will Martinez defeating Goti Yamamuchi, which is a shocking decision. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought Yamamuchi would run through him, but Will Martinez definitely looked the better part here, and he won 30-27 across the board. Moving on to the main card we had in the featherweight tournament continuing, we had Desmond Green defeating Mike Richmond by unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. Mad Dog, I'll start with you. I guess first, how did you score this fight?
I guess we're skipping the first three. Get right to the...
Where did I skip?
No. I thought you said how we're gonna... You asked me how I scored Bissett and Nunes?
No.
No, I
Green
asked
Richmond.
you how you score Green versus Richmond.
Oh, so we didn't score that. We don't talk about the first two.
No, it's a prelim, so I just read them. Just like UFC.
All right. Well, fuck them. Originally, I scored at 29-28 Richmond, but after much review, you have to think Green won it. Clearly, Richmond won the first round with just barely with strikes and pressure. Green clearly won the second round with the takedown and all that control. In round 3, Richmond was coming forward, and I gave it to him. But when you look at the strike totals, he only landed like 3 punches that whole round, and Green landed like 25 or 30. So I have no problem with the decision now. I was upset at first, but now it just seems like Richmond didn't even get off. He didn't throw a single head kick this fight. That really surprised me.
Yeah, I definitely did not see this coming. Brad, quick thoughts here.
Desmond Green is horrible to watch.
Yes, he is. I think you kept tweeting, why does Desmond Green hate fun? Yep. Or something of that sort. Jay, any thoughts here?
Yeah, Richmond just seemed really uncomfortable with Green. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Maybe Richmond had an off night. Not exactly, like I said, not exactly sure, but he definitely struggled with Des Green and really he really wasn't able to figure him out. You know, I don't really have an issue with the decision either. I really did think it was going to be a split decision, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys there. I did score the fight for Mike Richmond. I did think he won I think the first and the third. But, you know, Richmond didn't look good, and Desmond Green, though, might bore you to tears. He did what he had to do to win, and he actually might be able to win this whole thing with how this bracket kind of plays out. But lastly, to wrap up the featherweight division, we had one of the worst scorecards I've ever seen in my entire life, as we had Matt Bissett defeating Diego Nunes 30-27, 29-28, and then 28-29 for the split decision victory. And I have to say, that first round being scored for Matt Bissett is the single worst round I've ever seen scored. I was actually thinking about going 10-8 Diego Nunes in that first round just because of how dominant it was. Almost finished him twice. Just a great round for Diego Nunes. And one judge scored that for Bissett. So we had a borderline 10-8 round scored for the opposing fighter. And that is, man, Mad Dog, thoughts here. And just before we jump in, I saw a lot of people criticizing Bellator for this, which I do all the time, of course, but Bellator does not judge the fights. Bellator does not pick the referee assignments or anything like that. So I'll say this, it's not Bellator's fault, which I did see a lot of people on Twitter. So I know Matt was going to say that, so I helped him out.
Really saved me the time. I mean, nothing brings out the stupid like Bellator. It's unbelievable. But yeah, wrong guy won, plain and simple. I mean, obviously Bissett won the second round with that knockdown. I'm amazed Nunes survived that. He was on wobbly legs for about 2 minutes after that. It was pretty crazy, but clearly won the first. Third was closer, but Nunes won that one. So yeah, wrong guy won. It's unfortunate. Originally, I didn't even want Bellator to put Nunes in the tournament. I wanted them to put him outside, get him one win so they could bring his stock back up. Now they can't put him back in another tournament because unless he wins all 3 fights and loses again, his stock continues to drop. You gotta get this guy a couple of wins and keep him relevant. But, yeah, wrong guy won and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part too is this fight was fucking awesome. And it's like, the decision just sucked the life out of you. Brad, thoughts here?
Yeah, I didn't even remember that this fight was entertaining because the decision was so bad. Matt Bassinet, he got beat up for about 14 minutes of a 15-minute fight, and somehow, because he landed one punch in the second round, he got a decision. Pretty awesome.
Jay, can you think of a worse scored round than the first round in that fight?
Well, I was gonna say the Chul Nam fight, that happened the next day.
At least they got the guy who won the round right.
I guess so.
This would be like if they gave the other guy Tokadome the first round.
Well, also I think Jimmy Smith was like really up, Matt Bissett's ass in this one. He was kind of his judging or his the scorecards were kind of biased. At least I thought so. The way he was talking about it.
But he still scored for Nunes.
Yeah, but I don't know. It didn't seem that way. No. But I mean, yeah, his scorecard was that, but it didn't seem that way when he was talking about him. But yeah, this really left a sour taste. Like for me, I was like really, even I had money on Nunes for sure, but like it just seemed like a disgraceful decision to a hometown fighter. And I don't know I'm not sure what Matt Bissett does if he was like the class clown in high school or whatever, but like he had a huge group of people up there in the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville. I was like, Jesus.
He's the king of Uncasville.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm gonna quickly, since, I guess we'll wait. I was gonna say let's go over the featherweight, but we can just wait until, that card comes up. So let's do the heavyweight division, light heavyweight division. We had just a dreadful co-main event with King Mo defeating Mikhail Zayas by unanimous decision 30-27 across the board. And the funny part about this was, I thought all three of these rounds were very, very close and could go either way. And this was the fight following the Bissett Nunez fight that they clearly had the exact same scorecard, which just made me laugh. But King Mo did what he had to do, and he sets up a fun fight with Rampage. Mad Dog?
Yeah, that's the big moral of the story here is Bellator finally got a final they want. I don't think they've ever got a final they wanted ever besides the Lima and Saunders finals twice, which both times Lima faced the killers and Saunders had the easy side of the bracket. Really easy. And so that was just kind of set up. Like, this is the first time I think they've ever actually succeeded. And it was a 4-man. They actually did it. So, congrats to them. But, this will be on the pay-per-view. You can almost 95% guarantee that this fight will be on the Bellator pay-per-view with the Chandler-Eddie trilogy fight. But, not fun to watch. As a matter of fact, I barely watched it at all. I had a hard time keeping my eyes on the screen. The funniest part about this is that King Mo blames the canvas for his performance. He says it was slippery, and nobody bothered to tell him that he already had 5 fights on that exact same canvas. So I don't know. I have no words for him.
It must have been the staph infection. Brad?
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that Mad Dog brought up the canvas because I was going to bring that up, and the fight before was awesome. The fight after had a half-decent performance from Rampage, and somehow King Mo couldn't do anything on the exact same canvas. But as you said, the judging was crazy all around the world across 2 days last weekend. So you had some fights that were close, that were scored clearly. You had some fights that were clear, that were scored the wrong way. And it wasn't just Bellator or the UFC. It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was like an epidemic. There was a bad one in Cage Warriors too. It was the main event.
Like 2.
Yeah. It was the John McGuire fight was a dreadful decision, if I recall. But listening to Jay, I keep forgetting about Jay tonight. I don't know why. Jay, thoughts here?
This fight was terrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I can't wait for the final, and I can't wait for a line. I'm just going to leave it at that.
You're going deep on King Mo, aren't you? I'm still taking King Mo.
So deep.
All right, in the main event in the light heavyweight division, we had Quentin Rampage defeating something called Mapumbu. I think he was in the Lion King. I don't remember. But anyway, he finished with ground and pound in the first round. That was the second straight knockout win for Rampage after going like 5 years without a knockout. So Rampage loves some Bellator. Mad Dog, thoughts here?
I think he had a knockout about 2.5 months ago, Lance. I'm not entirely sure.
You said 2.
But,
yeah, I said he had 2.
Did you say 2 years ago?
No,
two knockouts.
I said
all right.
Before that, he hadn't had one in like 5 years.
Yeah, Vanderlei, I think, was the last one. That was forever ago.
Yeah.
Mpumu looked good, to be honest. I mean, to start out, he was working his leg kicks, he kept his movement, Rampage couldn't keep up with him. Rampage looked horribly slow next to him. And then, he was out even waving his arm, Rampage was waving his arms, and Mpumu was having none of it, sticking to his game plan. So he looked good for about the first minute and a half until he threw a leg kick and fell. And then ate a couple of fucking not even hooks, like these ground and pound from hell. Just 2 shots, one to the dome, one to the throat. They just put him out. It was brutal. And awesome performance from Rampage. He may not be fast, he may not have any footwork, but hey, the guy still hits really hard. He can take a shot, and I can't wait to see the line versus King Mo. He has to be a tremendous favorite now after that I wish King Mo had put on a better performance because I wanted a better line, but I know I'm not going to get it now.
Brad?
Rampage, I guess he looked good, but he looked slow and fat, and yeah, he still got power, but we always knew he still had power, so, knocking out Timon Mpumba is not the greatest thing in the world, so I'm still interested in the opposite, for the opposite reasons that Jay and Mad Dog are interested in that Rampage King Mo line, because even though Mo has looked horrible, he's still gonna make Rampage look like he's moving in slow motion.
Mo's gonna wrestle him to death. Jay?
I'm gonna disagree with Mad Dog. I didn't think Mapumba looked good. All I saw was a guy that was just running away and just constantly running away. Not doing anything, just running around in a circle. It looked like I was watching the circus. Just a guy running in a circle, like constantly. Circle, 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 circle. Not engaging at all. Like, what is the point of that? Like, is that what his plan was? 15 minutes of circle? Circle, circle, kick, circle, circle, kick. Okay, great. It seems like I was playing a video game. It was silly. And, you know, it was just, the way I was viewing it, it was just a matter of time before, you know, he got too close and Rampage was going to hit him in the face, and that would be the end of the fight, and that's what happened. So, I thought it was great how Rampage, you know, kind of got in, you know, a knocked out guy, an unconscious guy's face and screamed at him, like the guy's going to remember. Yeah, he's really going to remember you, screaming in his face. The only way he's going to see it is on the television monitor the next day. And then the WWE, I should say, sorry, it's a Spike, the TNA style, you know, promo cut to the end with King Mo is pretty cool. I enjoyed that thoroughly. I'd like to see more of those. So, all in all, I enjoyed that, and, you know, Spike got a decent rating out of it, so I think everybody's a winner here.
Yeah, it was, you know, the end ended good. I thought the Bissett-Nunez fight was great and ruined, but yeah, I mean, we had a lot of decisions which we don't usually expect, but I thought it ended on a fun note. And the people who were really mad about the King Mo Rampage wrestling something, I mean, I'm not a wrestling fan by any means, and I was cracking up. I thought it was fucking awesome, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. Maybe I'm in the minority, but let's move on to some predictions. And also, Brad, I don't know if you were aware, but Matt Riddle did defeat Michael Kuiper by guillotine in the second round.
You know what happened? Kuiper thought they were fighting under Danish rules, or no, not Danish. He thought they were fighting in the Netherlands, and they don't actually allow guillotines in the Netherlands. So that was just a miscommunication between the Kuiper's camp and Titan, so I think Titan needs to really shape up on their officiating and some rules there, because that was a little bit shady to me.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that Matt Riddle was high on mescaline and thought he was opening a jar of mayonnaise at the time, so I don't think Matt
Riddle was high on victory, okay?
So, let's move on to the UFC Fight Night 37 predictions, and we'll jump right into it. So, Jay, I'll start with you in the flyweight division. We have Phil Harris taking on Louis Gaudinot.
Yeah, you know what? This isn't a terrible fight. I think it's, each guy individually, meh, but, you put them together in a ring, it should be a decent contest. I think it's pretty even. I think Gaudinot has struggled against, grapplers in general. He looked good one time in his career. That was against, pretty much a dehydrated, John Lineker who, missed weight. I believe that was at the time he missed weight, and, he pulled out a win there, but that's the only time he's really good. He struggled against Tim Elliott, and he struggled against, Johnny Bedford when he was basically just outsized and, out-grappled. Phil Harris, pretty poor chin, but, he can grapple a bit. He out-grappled Ulysses Gomez. His striking is so-so, but, he has okay power for the division. So I think this fight is pretty even, to be honest with you. And, Phil Harris fighting at home. And as Brad mentioned, the underdog streak in the first fight of the night. So I'm going to go out and, pick Phil Harris to get a decision win here, as the dog to open the night. Not going to bet the fight though, but I lean Harris to win.
Brad?
Yeah, and obviously the biggest factor here is that underdogs have won the opening bout of every card so far in 2014, so that's going to continue. But I'm curious that when the little green-haired troll and Sarah McMahon have sex, if Sarah McMahon just gets on top of him and pounds him out like everybody else in the UFC has fun doing. So it's
she's bigger than him.
I know, that's why I'm thinking that it happens. But I think that we're going to see the same sort of game plan going through here, because Phil Harris, he's a pretty underrated grappler, and Louis Gaudinot can't really wrestle at all. He's really taken beatings in all of his UFC fights, even the one that he won against John Lineker. He got the shit beat out of him in the first round, and then Lineker got tired because, he's got those heavy hands, and he just doesn't want to carry him around too long.
Mad Dog, what you got?
Yeah, I'm pretty much completely leaning Gaudinot up to the point where it's in England. It's the fact that Phil Harris is going to have home field advantage. I think this is a close fight. I think it is competitive. I do think Gaudinot is going to have a striking advantage. Harris is going to have a bit of a grappling advantage. I don't see a finish here. If anything, play the over. I'm not sure where that's at right now. It's probably ridiculous. Flyweights always have overs, and neither of these guys seem like they're going to finish each other. But at this point in time, I'm picking Harris solely based on the fact that It's in England, but besides that, I mean, you gotta think Gaudenau is gonna be better at least on the feet. If it hits the mat or a clinch maybe, you gotta give Harris an advantage, but it's gonna start in where I think Gaudenau will have a bit of an advantage.
So who is your
picking Harris?
Okay. I'm going to go the other way as all you guys. I guess I'm going to pick up another point here. So I'm going to go Louis Gaudenau. I just don't think – I think Phil Harris, obviously, on the ground, he's going to be much better if he can get Gaudenau to the ground. But Phil Harris really has no wrestling whatsoever. Though he has a grappling advantage, I don't see him getting there. And on the feet, Phil Harris is very, very hittable. Just gets lit up. And Gaudenau actually has some pretty good striking. Not the most powerful guy, but he's a volume striker and definitely throws enough to hurt a guy and take rounds. So in short, I think Louis Gaudenau's gonna sprawl and brawl here. I think he's gonna keep the fight standing, and he's just a much better striker. And if he does get taken down, I do think he's quick enough to get back on his feet. So I am gonna go Louis Gaudenau here, but there's no chance I would bet a fight like this. It's just not something I'm looking at, but it is gonna be a pick on Louis Gaudenau. Next, let's move up to the welterweight division, and we have Igor Araujo taking on Danny Mitchell. Jay?
Before I get to that, just answer Mad Dog's question. I believe the line, the over line in that Gaudenau Harris fight it was actually like minus 250 or so, and it came down to minus 210. So it's not that high compared to where some of the other flyweight fights have been in terms of over under. This fight though is, in my opinion, a grappler versus grappler matchup. Araujo, in his debut, kind of just took down a really piss poor Ildemar Alcantara, and just basically laid on him for the majority of the fight. It's gonna be a difficult time doing that against Mitchell here, simply because Mitchell has a really good submission game. He can work submissions from top control, from bottom control. He's actually quite advanced in that regard, and he's dangerous here to even lock into submission and get the win. I think Mitchell may even have a striking advantage, more power on the feet. So again, I think this is a close contest, but I'm going to go with the newcomer here, and plus 150. I think he's he's worth a small play as I guess a moderate doggy. So I'm picking the upset with Danny Mitchell, and I have a small bet on Danny Mitchell at plus 150.
Brad?
Yeah, I'm going the same way. I think that Danny Mitchell is the better grappler, although the grappling is close. I think part of what makes the grappling close is that Araujo is probably going to end up in top position when they do grapple. Mitchell's sometimes a little bit too content to grapple from his back, so that's my biggest worry in this fight. But as far as the striking goes, Igor Araujo really has nothing on the feet, and Danny Mitchell, he's not a great striker, he doesn't have a great chin or anything like that, but he doesn't really have to worry about that in this fight. He's just going to come forward and throw some of the wild strikes that he's got, get in close, and try and take this to the ground. So I think Mitchell has a bit of an advantage on the feet. I think he's got a bit of an advantage on the ground as well. My only concern is that he might end up on the bottom and lose a decision that way, but I do give some advantages to Danny Mitchell here, so I like him for the pick and probably be playing him as well.
Mad Dog.
My co-hosts are using entirely too many words to say this simple phrase, and that is, Igor sucks. He sucks, he sucks, he sucks. That's all I have to say about this. Picking Danny Mitchell has nothing to do with Danny Mitchell. Not touting him in any way. I just don't like Igor. Don't think he's very good. Don't think he should be in the UFC. Danny Mitchell, show off your skills.
Yeah, I think Ag Dog actually broke this down. We're gonna have a clean sweep of an underdog here. I'm actually decently high on Danny Mitchell. He's an interesting grappler. His striking is better than Igor Araujo, who is not a very good fighter. I think people are overhyping him a little bit. I was actually surprised this line. I thought Danny Mitchell, especially fighting in the UK, would be a slight favorite here, and he did open as a plus 150 dog, and currently sitting somewhere close to that now. So I don't really like Danny Mitchell here. I think if the fight stays in the feet, I think he'd win a sloppy striking match, and if it goes in the ground, I think Danny Mitchell just a little bit better in the grappling department. He's going to be more of a finisher of these two, and I think if he does get underneath, I think he can sweep and work submissions from the bottom. So it's going to be a clean sweep here, which apparently Jay's been keeping track of that. We do pretty good on those. So it's going to be Danny Mitchell here for a pick and a bet. Let's move on to the next fight of the evening, as we have in the bantamweight division. Tough runner-up Davey Grant taking on Roland Delorme. Jay?
Yeah, this is another really closely lined fight between an English fighter and, a foreign fighter, in this case, Canadian, Delorme. This one is Delorme is a more experienced fighter, maybe, a better all-around grappler, but it's close. Grant has decent grappling himself. I think he's got heavier hands. Certainly no slouch on the ground. I think it's fairly close. I think maybe Grant's being a little undervalued here because he faced a pretty high level prospect in Holsworth, who I think is pretty talented. You know what? I lean towards Grant here, but it's close again. I think this will be another situation. I really think this might be the case, kind of throughout the night. Is that there will be a real home crowd advantage here for the English fighters. So that's kind of like my tiebreaker here. So my pick is Grant, but I'm not touching this fight at all. I think it's really close.
And Brad.
I love how you can always tell when Jay is indecisive about a fight because he throws out about 73 while he's breaking it down. And I feel the same way about this fight. It's very, very close. I think Grant has a little bit of an edge on the feet. He's a little bit tighter with his striking. Delorme's kind of wild, but he's pretty aggressive with his striking. I don't think that's going to matter, though, because I think it's going to turn into a pretty exciting grappling match. And this is actually going to be my pick for Fight of the Night. I think these guys are going to go back and forth a little bit with scrambles, transitions, a little bit of everything. But on the ground, I do give the edge towards Delorme. I was thinking that Grant might have a cardio edge, and originally I was leaning towards him for a pick because of that, but after doing a little bit more research, I don't think that he really has much cardio on Delorme. Delorme's been in there with some really tough guys. He's gone the distance with them. He has started to fade towards the end of those fights, but he's been against guys that do have really, really good cardio. So I like Delorme to maybe get a submission, but more likely win a decision here.
Bad Dog.
We are 12 fights deep through the last couple of events, and Brad and I are finally going to split off. Brad finally has a chance to catch up to me. And I'm going the other way. I like Davey Grant here. It's really unfortunate he was on Ronda Rousey's team of Tough. It's too bad he couldn't get any decent training from decent trainers with athletes. But, yeah, that's a ridiculous statement. Just go ahead and
I like it.
Yeah, I'm going with Davey Grant. I like Brad said he have a slight edge in the feet. I say bullshit. He has a huge edge on the feet. I know, Roland, I forget who it was. He rocked somebody. I say it every show. I don't use notes. I don't remember, but he has rocked somebody. And, he is slow. And Davey Grant, for a Brit, he is impressive on the ground. And his striking is very good. He's got really good Muay Thai. He's got good leg kicks. He's got good, his hands are good. Everything's good. And I do give him advantage on the feet. I am a little worried if the fight goes to the ground, but not horribly worried. I know, Roland is skilled there. Grant's no slouch, though. I do give Grant a cardio advantage, which, the ground does wear and tear, so I am picking Grant. I am betting Grant. I caught it at about -110. I haven't parlayed with one other fighter at plus money, and, not overly confident. It's probably my only play on the card. There is some money around. I'm just not huge on this card. I don't like these international cards. I don't like UK, Canada, and Brazil very much anymore, and we won't even mention the country that shall not be named.
Yeah, I'm going to go Davey Grant here as well. Not a clean sweep, but I do like Davey Grant in this fight. I feel like he's just the more up-and-coming fighter. I think he's the more skilled striker for sure. I think on the feet he's going to be a lot better, and on the ground he can hang with himself. Both guys have really good submissions on the ground, so I do favor a finish in this one. So I wasn't looking at betting Davey Grant even at the low line. Just not something. I think this fight could go either way. I do see it as a toss-up, but I see this fight ending in submission. I see it ending in submission one way or the other. So I was actually looking at a play inside the distance. Currently the under 2.5 is plus 140. So I was looking at that. I'll probably just wait and see what the line is to finish inside the distance just in case, and that'll be at plus money. So I'm looking currently at that line to maybe take the Grant Delorme inside the distance. But definitely a pass on the straight, and I'll keep you guys posted on the inside the distance play. So let's move on to the next fight, which is going to be the middleweight division, as we have Brad Scott taking Claudio Henrique da Silva. Jay?
This fight is, in my opinion, much easier to predict than the first three fights on the card. Silva has, I think, really sloppy grappling, doesn't really do much with it. That's really his only positive facet. how do I describe it? His striking is really non-existent. He hasn't really showed much technique in that regard. He really just strikes to set up takedowns. And even on the ground, he hasn't really showed an advanced submission game at all. Brad Scott, I kind of like him. Even in the Tough Smashes finale against Whitaker, his striking was pretty decent. He kind of went toe to toe with Whitaker, who's, in my opinion, a pretty decent striker in his own right. His ground game is so-so. He has some wrestling, but it's nothing great. But he should be able to, keep this fight standing for the most part against Silva, and I think he has an advantage there. So I'm going with Brad Scott here, the more well-rounded fighter. Once again, fighting in the home country, also an advantage. And I think he's even good for a bet. So I think he's decent parlay material at minus 185. I believe that's where he's at right now. So I think you can use him and parlay with some of the big favorites on the main card.
Brad.
Yeah, Jay used some more words than I would use to describe it, but Claudio Da Silva is terrible. Just absolutely horrible. I think they put him on this card because he trains in London. He knows, I think he trains with John Hathaway and some guys like that. So they just needed somebody to fill a spot, and he was a warm body that could fill that spot. He has an overhand left with no power on the feet that he usually tries to run in and get a takedown off of. And when he's on the ground, just go back and watch his last fight against Professor X. He couldn't pass Professor X's guard. He couldn't really threaten with any serious submissions. That is awful, because Professor X is, first of all, he rides around in that wheelchair. He's bald and he can't really do much in terms of physical activity. So the fact that Claudio Da Silva couldn't submit him, that is bad, awful stuff. And yeah, to add to that, he's tiny for a middleweight. And man, I love Brad Scott in this fight. Other than having an awesome name, I think that he's going to go through and just destroy Claudio Da Silva in this fight. I've got him in an open parlay for 2.5 units, and I'm sure I'm probably going to add more on him as well.
Yeah, but if you didn't know, Claudio Henrique Da Silva's last finish came by TKO groin injury. So that's something. Mad Dog?
He's aiming for your dick. I gotta give a shout out to Brad. Way to throw out a Professor X reference. I don't think I've ever heard a podcast use a Professor X reference. It's been many a year. I think the last time I even saw Professor X fight was when he fought Phil DeFries. Was that it? No, that's way off. Not Phil DeFries. It's a heavyweight. Who was that way oversized middleweight who sucked?
Vemola?
No, not Carlo.
You mean like really tall?
Anderson Silva?
No. Shut up, Lance. I'll think it. He was really, really muscled. He looks like a black guy, but he's white. You know what I mean?
Dennis Kang?
No, well, that's close. That's a really good guess. No,
well, he did.
Sure
it's not racist. No, I'm 100% sure it's not Vemola. You have to look up
Stanislav Nedkov?
No. Alright, that's it. I have to look it up. But as far as this fight, let me do it. Alright, Brad, I know Lance is really big on, Brad Scott, but,
I am?
I'm not, yeah, you are. You're really big. I'm not that sold. Although I have to agree he's gonna win. I mean, I'm busy, I'm talking while I'm looking this up. You know what, I'm just gonna pass to Jay, and I'm gonna look this up.
Drew McFedries.
You got it! Damn it! I couldn't even look it up. That's it. That's 100% it, I know for a fact. Yeah, Brad Scott's gonna win, and, Professor X got knocked the fuck out by Drew McFedries.
Yeah, I think you're talking about, I'm not very big on Brad Scott. It's
sarcasm. It's a joke.
Oh, I'm pretty sure
you're the opposite of him.
Isn't Drew McFedries black?
Yeah.
He's at least half black.
I think he's like black. Like, he's a black dude.
I think he's like one of those cookies, a Milano.
He's not that, dude, he is at worst, milk chocolate. Like, at worst. Like, he is, I don't know.
He got stabbed.
Wow.
By who?
I don't know, I typed in that and it says there's a bunch of pictures about him getting stabbed. Anyway, yeah, I'm with you guys here. I'm Brad Scott. I am picking Brad Scott, and I haven't broke this down as much as I want to. I do know Claudio da Silva is really bad. He hasn't fought in a while. His competition's horrible, and he hasn't looked good against it. And his best win is by TKO groin strike. I might be playing Brad Scott just as I don't think Brad Scott's that great. I think you guys are a little higher on him than I am. But I do know this guy sucks ass. So there's definitely a chance I'll be putting Brad Scott in a parlay, maybe with someone, but I mean, it's hard for me to lay minus 180 on Brad Scott, so I still haven't decided. And McFedery's got stabbed at a nightclub in Iowa, which apparently there's nightclubs in Iowa, which is something you learn every day. Anyway, let's move. I
gotta jump in right here. I gotta say, I was reading when I said at worst half black, and that is not an appropriate statement. There's nothing wrong with being black.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was racist, but
it came out wrong. I was reading and I thought about what I just said. I was like, wow, that came out really mean.
You're a racist. Anyway, let's stay in the middleweight division as we have Luke Barnett, that horrible white dude, versus Matt Nilsson. Jay?
This is a striker versus grappler matchup. That's basically what this is. Nilsson is making his UFC debut. You know, he's faced some decent competition in the past, and he has some pretty decent grappling credentials. You know, there's like 20 different of these grappling championships. I forget which one it is. I'm thinking it was Fila. I think that was a grappler. You know, he plays really high in those those competitions.
That's the one that like Jacob Volkman and guys like that won. Yeah. Right.
So, okay. I mean, he did good in those. What can I tell you? I mean, So his grappling skills are evident. He'll try for takedowns in this fight. But he's really undersized against Barnett. Barnett's got about a 5-inch height advantage. I'm not even sure how long the reach advantage is. It's probably 7 to 8 inches. And Barnett really was impressive in the Andrew Craig fight. He really seems to have improved, since the Ultimate Fighter show. His takedown defense is definitely decent. It's improved. His striking's more impactful. He's definitely, increased his power as well. And I think he's actually a pretty decent fighter, and he has got a decent future in this division. With his size, his youth, and he's able to finish. So that's a big plus. So I think Barnett's going to get the win here. I haven't played this bout yet, but I'm considering it in a parlay. And I think he really deserves a nice step up in his competition after he beats this kid Nilsson.
Brad,
I didn't mean to sound like I was making fun of Fila. I actually think those are a pretty good series of grappling competitions, and I actually think that Mats Nilsson is a really good grappler. The problem is that Barnett is not the stereotypical slow, terrible wrestler British fighter. He's actually gone out there and improved his takedown defense, and I think that's going to be the biggest issue here. Nilsson might still be able to get him down in the first round, maybe win that round because he does have very good top control. He's not overly dangerous with submissions. He's more of a position guy. But after that, he starts to fade a little bit. I think Barnett's going to take over with his strikes. I do think the line is a little bit high here, so I don't want to play it. But as far as British fighters go, Luke Barnett is actually pretty decent because he can wrestle a little bit.
No, he can't.
I said as far as British fighters go.
Oh, okay. Mad Dog, can Luke Barnett is a stupid name. Can he wrestle?
Well, he's British, so obviously not.
Exactly.
Can he wrestle as far as British fighters go?
Unless your name is Brad Pickett or Michael Bisping, you can't throw a double leg to save your fucking life. It can't be done. I don't know. It's something about the air over there. Your knees don't bend right. I don't understand. But yeah, this, what's the Swede's name? The Mr. Gutenheimen. God, he's got a long resume. I'm looking up right now. Alright. So yeah, you remember when on Tough when Thor said he was the #1 middleweight in all of Sweden history? Is this the guy he beat to get that claim? Is that how he got to say that?
It is?
Yeah. Wow. Well, when your signature win is Thomas Spear, I don't have much for you. I don't have much to say. I was never very high on Luke Barnett. I was shocked that Chael picked him as his first pick. He has impressed me since he left. I mean, I think he lost his first fight to was it Colin Hart? Was that his name? Colin Hart. Yeah, that's right. I scored that fight for Colin. He ended up being cut from the UFC. That was bullshit. Besides that, Luke looked really good. Yeah, it was complete horseshit. But yeah, I'm scoring for him simply on the fact that he lost to the number one Swedish middleweight of all time, which is obviously Tortrog. So there's no shame in that. But you got to go to Luke Barnett simply based on that little fact. But I couldn't bet this fight to save my life. There's no way.
You called him Thomas Spear. That was great.
I should add that Luke Barnett has actually been training with Tor, and he's getting all his notes from Tor.
I mean,
I'm not even joking. I'm not joking at all. That's true. That's his number one training partner for this camp. And Luke Barnett wants to be the ambassador for English MMA.
It's really hard to pick against Matt Nielsen knowing that he's the number 2 ranked middleweight in an entire country. I mean, think of that. In the entire country, at 185 pounds, he would whoop
they have like 6 middleweights.
He would whoop out all their asses besides Tortrong. There's something to that. I mean, the guy has wins over Denison Sutherland, Chris Scott, Al Luvadoon Gadajuvudu. I mean, the guy's just...
Wait, what?
Say that again.
It's Alvadoon Gadajuvudu. He beat Magnus Sedenblad. Remember that guy?
Well, he's still around.
He's still in the UFC.
Yeah.
Shit, that guy's UFC still?
He ended what's his name's career? Not Dennis Hallman. Who's
Jared Hammond?
Jared Hammond, sorry.
Oh, I lost money on that fight, which is so depressing. This guy beats... So Sedenblad is the number 3 ranked middleweight in Sweden.
That fight was a long time ago, though. He fought like Sedenblad in like 2008.
Wait, where does Papiabetti fit into this whole conversation?
He's the number 4 ranked middleweight.
And Masoke's like number 2, even though he's a welterweight.
Actually, Masoke is number 1. I would take him over all these guys. Even at a catchweight, whatever it is. Anyway, I'm gonna pick Luke Barnett. And I'm not gonna bet on it because I fucking hate that guy. I really don't like him. Like, I don't hate many fighters immediately. Like, I hate Luke Barnett. I don't like his name. I don't like that he's tall, like, weirdly. I don't like anything about this. I don't like when he goes on Ariel's show and acts like he's important. No one knows who the fuck Luke Barnett is. No one cares. He lost to Colin Hart. He lost in the show. This guy's garbage. But
I got him in England, Lance. He's regularly on their version of UFC Tonight.
That's ew.
He's the number 1.
He's their Kenny Florian.
That's fucking awful. He's terrible, but he's gonna win because this Matt Nielsen guy is the number 2 ranked guy in Sweden. And if it was the number 1 ranked guy in Sweden, I would probably pick it, but I can't. So I'm gonna pick Matt Barnett. But I'm not gonna bet on him because he's a fucking douchebag, and I hope he loses.
The old Lance would have picked Nielsen. This is a new Lance we're dealing with here.
I want to pick Nielsen, but maybe I'll change my mind and make a stupid pick later. But let's move up to the light heavyweight division in a fight that I literally didn't even cap whatsoever, look at, or make a pick yet, as we have Cyril Diabate taking on Ilir Latifi, who's the number 3 ranked light heavyweight in Sweden. Jay?
This really is a battle that doesn't matter. But since Cyril Diabate announced today that he's going to be retiring after this fight, it's made this bout all sorts of weird. Diabate's coming off that weird injury against Jimmy Manoa. So it's really kind of hard to tell where he's at. Striking-wise, he's a much superior striker to Latifi. That goes without saying. He's got really decent technical striking, despite being Latifi's grandfather. That's all there is to say. As for Latifi, he's got a really good chin. I mean, underrated. He fought Mousasi, he fought Emmanuel Newton, went to decision against both of those guys. Doesn't really seem to be fazed too much by strikes. So I really think this one's going to hit the cards. This fight really comes down to will Latifi hit the takedowns to basically get a ground type of lay and pray kind of win. I lean that way, that he's going to be able to score the takedowns against Diabate. I was kind of eyeing the over 2.5 line in this fight, which was I believe it was minus 120, but with the Diabate announcing the retirement, I don't know if his head's not in the game or he's going to come out like, completely rejuvenated to get a win in his final fight. So, this fight screams total pass to me. But my pick here is the Swede, Ilir Latifi.
Brad, did you look at this fight?
I looked at this fight a little bit, but I'm curious who the number 2 light heavyweight in Sweden is.
Light heavyweight?
That's also Nico Masoga.
No, he's number 1. Gustafsson number 2.
Swedish. You guys continue.
Andreas Spang.
Who's that? Oh, that guy sucks.
Oh, wait, what about his brother Chris Spang?
No, it'd be Gegard.
Where
Who's
is
that
Andreas
Swedish?
Spang now?
Gegard's like Armenian or something.
Gegard is from Armenia, yeah.
I typed in Swedish MMA fighters and he popped up.
Where is Andreas Spang now?
He got
Jay,
cut
you-
from Miss
I think he got
White.
cut from Bellator.
Wait, then where's
Yeah.
Chris Spang?
I think he got cut from RFA.
What's going on, Swedish MMA?
Don't worry, they've still got David Bilkenladen.
That's not a Swedish last name.
David Bilkeden, he means.
Oh, that's better.
Bilkenladen. He's friends with Per Elkland.
The guy that got beaten up by Evan Dunham like 10 years ago.
Yeah, they're cronies. I'm bringing cronies back. Like the word cronies. I
So
think
they all have blonde hair.
David Burkalaka lost to Diego Sanchez by submission punches.
Yeah.
in like 2002.
That's how Diego became a submission artist.
That's how we got to number 3.
Whose turn is it to break this horrible fight down? Brad, did you pick somebody?
I am picking Ilir Latifi. I think that he is going to get takedowns. Initially, I was worried that he was going to get tired of getting takedowns, and then Cyril could beat him up on the feet. But Cyril's an old man. He's coming off an injury. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if he got injured again in this fight somehow. Latifi's not a good wrestler, but he's a strong wrestler. So I think he's just going to pick up Diabate's spindly-ass legs and slam him all over the place.
Mad Dog. Go.
Yeah, we gotta hurry this up. I have 4 empty beer bottles in front of me and 1 halfway down. I don't know how, last time I checked it, I was 1 down. I don't know how it happened. But yeah, I'm all over Cyril Diabate here. I mean, obviously I don't even know if I could say that anymore because, I did pick him in this fight just because I think Latifi is not good. I don't think he's very good. I don't think he was ever very good, but, obviously you gotta give Diabate the striking advantage. I don't think he's such a slouch on the ground. Everybody thinks just because he's a kickboxer he doesn't have any ground game. He's been doing MMA for quite a while. I mean, he's about to retire. He does have a ground game. He is decent there. And he is UFC caliber, as they say it. But I don't know if Latifi is. But that whole retirement fight, that's obviously you can't bet this fight. I'll get that out of the way right now. You couldn't bet this fight to save your life. But Diabate retiring, I've never heard of a retirement fight going well. I don't know anybody who's
Chris
retired
Lytle.
on a win.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's one. That's not fair because Chris Lytle was a bonus match.
Jorge Rivera. Boom.
Jorge
good
Rivera retired?
When did
Yeah,
he retire?
He won. I was live there. I was there. It was in Nashville.
I don't think that happened.
That did happen. He beat Eric Schaefer
What's
in his
Eric
retirement fight. Red.
I remember that name, Eric Schaefer. Didn't he fight Forrest Griffin or something?
He fought a bunch of guys and he lost a lot. But he did knock
Yeah,
out he did knock out that piece of shit Nate Quarry.
I like Nate Corey. He has a zombie comic book that's pretty funny.
I would fight Nate Quarry. I would.
You'd
I'd fight him.
lose.
I know, but I could catch him once he'd go to sleep because he's such a bitch.
You get knocked the fuck out. Shut up.
I just gotta land one punch.
Yeah, we've been going way too long on this terrible, terrible fight, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Cyril Diabate to be the only fighter that matters to win his retirement fight. Ever.
I just want to read one sentence on this Swedish MMA website. They're talking about the Swedish UFC fighters, and this is my favorite. There have been 11
What is a Swedish MMA site? They specialize in. Do we specialize in American MMA? Like,
Jay.
What is?
I'm
MMA
trying to
Viking, right?
Yes, that is correct.
That's not Swedish. That's the whole. That's the whole Scandinavia. It's different.
Nordic.
Yeah.
Nordic.
Sweden's the only one that matters.
Lance loves the Nordic.
So there have been 11 UFC fighters out of Sweden that have fought in the octagon. Jorgen Cruz signed with the UFC, but retired before he entered the cage.
Smart man.
I don't know why I love that so much. It just cracks me up. But out of the 11 fighters who've ever fought in the UFC, one guy retired before he even fought.
Number one Swedish fighter ever. He's never lost in the UFC.
Sweden's the worst country of fighting ever besides Gustafsson. Anyway, I'm gonna take Cyril Diabate because Ilir Latifi is Swedish. That was the whole point of that. I'm gonna take Cyril because Ilir's Swedish. Anyway, let's move on to the welterweight. We'll go to the main card, the welterweight event. We actually have a pretty fun card in the main card, as we have Gunnar Nelson stepping in the cage for the first time in 17 years, taking on Omari Akhmedov. Jay, talk.
Oh. I didn't know you were done. I thought you were going to keep accentuating your accents.
Akhmedov. He's half Russian, half like something else. Iranian.
That would make sense.
Liquor.
This fight should be one of the most exciting ones on the entire card. You have Gunnar Nelson, who's probably one of the top prospects in mixed martial arts still, although it seems like we've been saying that for a few years. And then you got Akhmedov, who's another Dagestani fighter. So, another one of these Russian guys, he's got one win in the UFC, crazy fight that he had. He almost got knocked out twice, somehow knocked out his Brazilian opponent, got the W. Gunnar's coming off a long absence in this bout. The thing with Akhmedov is he's certainly a finisher. He will go for it. Nick Lance just went to his refrigerator.
It's called a freezer? You keep ice in your fridge? You're weird. What do they do in Jersey? Jay, you're interrupting the show. Let's show some professionalism.
Yeah, Akhmedov, though, he has been caught in the past, when because he's too aggressive, in my opinion. He will push forward and he gets caught when he comes forward. And Gunnar's, a pretty smart fighter. I really don't see how he's going to get caught by Akhmedov's random rushes of rage. I'm going to call him that. I eventually see this fight going to the ground. Akhmedov has slowed down in some of his past fights, and I think this one's going to go to Gunnar Nelson. I could even see it being a submission, maybe in the second round. So my pick is Gunnar Nelson, but I think Akhmedov is dangerous. I think that I wouldn't want to lay over 3-1 on Gunnar Nelson in this spot.
Brad.
Yeah, you've got to side with Gunnar Nelson here. Even though he's been around for a while, he's still only 25, still improving his skills pretty much everywhere. And I think that aggressiveness that Jay was talking about is going to play in Gunnar's hands in terms of getting the fight to the ground, where he is just miles ahead of Akhmedov. So, I think that we're going to see a submission fairly early on in this fight. And it's going to be an impressive performance for Gunnar Nelson, get people really high on him again.
There's no H, Brad.
Akhmedov.
You're doing it wrong. Mad Dog.
Akhmedov.
Will you say his name like really American?
Akhmedov.
That's not American.
No.
I broke up there.
No.
Hold on. In my defense, most of America is retarded.
Akhmedov.
Well, that's not
Sounds about
American.
right.
That's America.
That's what I said, American.
Oh, everybody
You
else
don't
is
like-
American.
You don't like American?
No, I'm excited because every time I can't pronounce somebody's name, I always say Ahmed, Ahmed. I could probably say Ahmed. It's halfway right. But yeah, of course, I'm going to get out of the way right now that I'm going to say Gunnar Nelson. Everybody's picking Gunnar Nelson. If you remember correctly, I already have Davey Grant parlayed. I was originally going to parlay him with Gunnar Nelson just for some added value, but I decided against it. And that's simply for the fact that Ahmed's one loss is to Mikhail Sarev, who, if you don't remember him, he is the Lonely Wolf. Does anybody remember the Lonely Wolf? Probably the stupidest name ever. No?
No.
He was in Bellator. He got leg kicked to death by Douglas Lima.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, if you guys don't remember that fight, he also got knocked out by Lyman Good. His one win is by Tim Welch, who was on Fight Master, like in Bellator. He's been cut since from Bellator. And when you're one loss, I mean, this some time ago, it's 3.5 years ago, it's not the same, but that's that one loss, and that's the only guy on his, I don't have a computer in front of me, but that's the only guy on his page, I think, that has a wiki page. I think. And so it's impressive, but it's not fighting anybody good. Gunnar Nelson's like one of the most highly touted prospects. I don't remember if he's Icelandic or Irish. I think he's a mix of both. But you got to pick him. I mean, I'm not going to bet it, but it'll be fun to watch. I'm predicting an early finish. I think Gunnar gets to the ground quick and gets out of there quick.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson here as well, for my pick, but I'm not as sold, as you guys are. I think Akhmedov is actually a pretty dangerous fighter, and the thing I look at as far as staying away from Gunnar Nelson in this fight, if you remember this, Jorge Santiago fight in his last UFC fight, at the end especially, he got tagged in that fight. It actually hurt pretty bad at the end of the fight by Jorge Santiago right at the end of the fight, and Santiago actually threw some heat and landed some punches on him. Gunnar Nelson's a little bit cocky. He keeps his chin up. He does get hit a decent amount, and on the ground he's definitely worlds better. But it would not surprise me whatsoever if Gunnar Nelson, a little too cocky, stayed in the fight a little too long and got caught by Akhmedov. It just wouldn't surprise me. So I'm going to take Gunnar Nelson here, but I'll probably end up having a small play on Akhmedov inside the distance if it comes out around plus 400 or so, which I think it will. So right now it's a pass unless I get some value, but Gunnar Nelson for the pick, and maybe look at Akhmedov inside the distance as a little flyer play. So let's move up to the next fight on the card, as we have in the new flyweight division. We have Brad Pickett versus Neil Two-Tat Siri. Okay.
Yeah, this is I guess where we get to introduce my most clear picks, where I am pretty much have 95% confidence a fighter is going to win. So Brad Pickett is my first ever prime town selection. I believe that this is a complete mismatch. I mean, you're talking about, Siri has a decent, well-rounded skill set. He can do a little bit of everything, but he's really not above average, I'd even say, at any one skill set. I mean, you're talking about a guy here who lost to Phil Harris. Okay, Phil Harris, the guy who's fighting earlier on the card, who's probably a C- level fighter here. And Brad Pickett, sure, he's dropping down from 135 to 125, but he'll jump right in and be a top 5 flyweight. These guys are roughly the same age. I believe Pickett's 1 year younger. Pickett, solid boxing. I'd even say, very good boxing. And he's like Mad Dog said before, he's one of the few English fighters, who actually has a wrestling game. So I think Pickett can control this fight however he seems. If he wants to strike, I think he'll have the advantage. But he'll even mix in some takedowns. He's done that in, most of his fights, and he can control the fight that way. So I really don't see a way Siri's going to win this fight. I really don't. He's not going to knock out Brad Pickett. And he doesn't really have the submission skills to really lock in a submission that would be be able to beat Brad Pickett. So I actually capped this fight at minus 650. I parlayed this earlier when it was minus 500, and then at minus 600 as well. I think the line is it's getting it's kind of hit its point where it kind of makes sense at the minus 700 range. So Pickett is the clearest pick on the card, and there's really no path to victory for Neil Siri here. So Pickett by whatever method he wants. I can see this end up being an entertaining fight where Pickett, probably lands 2 strikes to 1 compared to Neil Siri and wins a clear decision, straight across the board, and potentially his fight of the night.
That was way too long for minus 800.
That's okay.
Neil Siri's a good fighter. He's just coming into a bad situation here. It's kind of like when Pedro Munoz was coming in to face Rafael Zansao a couple cards ago, where Munoz is a good fighter, but he was just coming in way higher than his pay scale in terms of the guy that he was going up against. Basically, as long as Pickett handles the weight cut fine, he's going to be the better striker here. He's going to be the better grappler here. He's going to be the better wrestler here. So it's pretty much a wash in terms of advantages for Brad Pickett. So as long as physically he's all right coming into this fight, you've got to like him. So pick is Brad Pickett, but minus 700. I stay away from throwing those guys in parlays.
Mad Dog.
Wow, my co-hosts have a lot of words for Brad Pickett's gonna win. Brad raised the most interesting point, and that was if he makes the weight. I don't even care if he makes the weight. I care if the fight happens. Understand, it's a tough weight cut. It's his first time. We don't really know. I don't care. I can cut off one of Brad Pickett's legs. He's gonna win this fight. And if Siri denies it, then I get my money back. If he takes it, I'm gonna win. So I don't care. To close off my parlay with Davey Grant, negative 110, is going to be with Brad Pickett. I got him at around negative 600, I think. This comes out at around plus 115. I feel really good about it. I just see no way he wins, and if the fight doesn't happen, I get my money back. Win-win for me. If Grant wins.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. Brad Pickett's definitely the better fighter here. I actually think Brad Pickett might actually two-tap Neil Seery. Neil Seery doesn't have very good submission defense, and Brad Pickett's he's decent on the ground. He has a bunch of submission wins, and his striking's got a lot better, but he still has that great submission game to go on. So I'm actually not going to be playing Brad Pickett straight or in a parlay or anything like that, but I will look at Brad Pickett inside the distance. Neil Seery's been finished 5 times by submission. Brad Pickett still has that good submission game, and he has the good power to knock him down and finish him. 34-year-old Neil Seery, who's making his debut, but a pretty old guy. So I'm going to take Brad Pickett here. I'm going to wait and see what inside the distance is. Let's move on to the co-main event in the evening, which is actually an excellent co-main fight I'm really looking forward to, as we have in the lightweight division Michael Johnson taking on the young assassin Melvin Guillard. Jay?
Yeah, this should really be an excellent matchup in this, in my opinion, the best fight on the card. You have two guys that, they have well above average striking, and I think both have been in pretty good form. Johnson coming off 2 wins, albeit I think he's being a bit overrated, coming off 2 wins against guys who really aren't good strikers. And Melvin, who's being underrated coming to this fight, he had the knockout win over Mac Danzig, and then he was well on his way to getting a TKO against Ross Pearson before the knee stoppage. So these two guys have trained together before at the Black Zillions, so they know each other, pretty decently. And it really comes down to who do you really prefer on the feet. I personally don't see this fight spending much time on the ground. I think it's going to be a striking exchange. I think Melvin's got the faster hands. I think he's got more power in his hands as well. And he's only been knocked out 1 time in his career. So I lean towards Melvin Guillard here. When he's confident, which he is at this point in his career, he's very difficult to beat. I don't think Michael Johnson has the striking to hurt Melvin Guillard, and I think he could even get the knockout. So I at plus money, I think Melvin's worth a small stab. So Melvin Guillard for me, and I think he wins by knockout.
Brad?
I haven't been real high on Michael Johnson at any point in his UFC career, and that doesn't really change here. You look at the guys that have beat Melvin, and it's guys that can wrestle better than Michael Johnson, or can, grapple and submit him, and that's not really going to happen in this fight. I know that his chin's a little bit questionable, and that's really my biggest concern in picking Melvin, but I think he's going to be a lot faster on the feet. Michael Johnson's one of those guys that, because he's black, people call him athletic. Say that's racist if you will, but, he's more of a workmanlike fighter than an athletic fighter, if you want to use the old black-white stereotype words there. And Melvin Guillard is the stereotypical explosive type of fighter, so I think that Melvin's going to have the speed, the power advantage on the feet. But the other thing that a lot of people aren't taking into account is that he's also won fights in other ways. Michael Johnson has only won fights really by sprawl and brawling. Melvin Guillard has, fought at a slower pace. He's picked guys apart a little bit from the outside. He's used his wrestling to win fights. I've never seen Michael Johnson do either of those things, so I give some physical advantages and some stylistic advantages to Melvin Guillard, and I'm picking him in this fight.
Mad Dog?
I completely love Brad's breakdown. I'm 100% there, except for the part about Melvin Guillard staying on the outside and picking people apart. I don't know where that came from. I'm on the opposite side. He's in people's faces and he knocks bitches out, except for that one shitty fight. But besides, I love Brad's breakdown. I was totally there with him. I have not been high on Michael Johnson at all, ever in his career. I've been against him in his last few fights, and I've been terribly wrong in his last few fights, so I'm hoping this time it changes. I just think these guys are twins. I think they have the exact same style. I just think Melvin's better at it. And Melvin doesn't lose striking. He doesn't. He's a great striker. I think the only time I've ever seen him hurt on the feet was versus Joe Lozon, who rocked and took him down, and then had to submit him to finish him. He didn't knock him out. Donald Cerrone, you could say, oh, he got the knockout, he knocked him out, he won. He was rocked, he was fucked up. Melvin got there first. Melvin's a phenomenal striker, and unless Johnson can really show me that additional power, I know he's got the speed, that's for certain. His wrestling has come along, but neither of these guys are going to take each other down. There's not going to be any grappling. This might as well be a kickboxing match, in my opinion. It's a kickboxing match that they don't separate the clinches. But I'm picking Melvin. I feel good about Melvin. I think Melvin will finish. I don't see how he doesn't finish, but I think this end of story is going to be a very fun, entertaining striking bout.
Yeah, I'm with Mad Dog here, except the one difference, like with what he said, but the one difference with you guys, I've always been high on Michael Johnson. I've always liked Michael Johnson. I took him as a big dog against Joe Lozon, took him as a dog versus Gleason Tebow, so he's a guy that I've always liked, but I just, the thing that I agree with Mad Dog, what he said is how many fights as Melvin Guillard lost on the feet and lost to pure strikers? Not many. Usually if a guy's gonna stand and trade with Melvin, he's gonna get hurt, and I see Melvin just being a more dynamic striker. I think he has a lot more power than Michael Johnson in this fight. I think he's going to be quicker. I just think he's going to be the much better striker here. And the only thing that's giving Melvin issues is staying off his back and getting submitted. And if Michael Johnson goes that route and takes him down and tries to land him, he could win. But I don't see that happening, and I think Melvin Guillard does the takedown defense to be able to keep that standing. So it is going to be a pick and a bet on Melvin Guillard for me. So that's going to be the play. So let's move on to the main event as we have Alex Gustafsson taking on Jimmy Manuwa. Jay?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this fight. This fight seems like it was announced a long time ago. It seems like it was announced 4 or 5 months ago. It's crazy.
It was.
Yeah, it's crazy. Fights usually aren't announced that far in advance for a smallish card main event like this one is. So we've had a lot of time to kind of look at it and a lot of time to get excited. Manuwa, comes in undefeated, pretty much every win by finish. He's that kind of guy, kind of that scary guy who's going to come in and they kind of set him up, can he get a huge win and shock the world against, most likely the number 2 fighter in the division. It's going to be difficult for him though, because Gustafsson has such good foot movement, and Gustafsson's reach is going to allow him to stay at distance, and Jimmy's going to have a hard time landing his leg kicks, and not before I watched tape, before I broke down this fight, I really thought that Manuwa's, boxing was much more dynamic than it was, but he really doesn't land as much as I really thought he did. His leg kicks seem to actually do a lot more work than his actual punches. But like I said, the distance factor is going to be key here. Gustafsson's boxing is superior. He's an excellent boxer. And I think Gustafsson's going to pick him apart early, and then Manuwa's eventually going to tire out, and he'll fade, and Gustafsson could take the fight to the ground and either win by submission, which is certainly possible, or even a ref stoppage, maybe second, maybe even third round. So I really like Gus to win this fight. I think he's got a pretty clear path to victory here, either by sub or by the KO. And the inside the distance line at minus 175, I think, is a steal. I think that's a really good line. So you can use that again in parlays with either Brad Pickett or, Brad Scott, maybe even Barnett. That's also possible as well. So Gustafsson inside the distance for me.
Brad?
I like pretty much everything that Jay said until he was sold in the distance line. Mm-hmm. Gustafsson doesn't have a great history of putting guys away, especially guys who have questionable cardio, and we really don't know how good Jimmy Manuwa's chin is, because he's gone in there and destroyed pretty much everybody that he's fought. So I think that there's more value in the Gustafsson by decision line at plus 400, because we have seen him go to decision against, Shogun, who was completely gassed and shot for that entire fight. We've seen him go to decision against Thiago Silva, and I really don't think that, despite the John Jones performance, that he's a much different fighter than he was then. He's going to be better on the outside here. Jimmy Manuwa's best offense comes from the clinch, except that if he gets to the clinch, Gustafsson should be able to take him down. I think the most likely way that Gustafsson finishes is a submission, but I think that line's only plus 275 or something, not quite high enough for me to want to bet it. But I do like Gustafsson to win this fight fairly clearly, but I just think that it's going to go a little bit longer than Jay thinks.
That's fair. Mad Dog?
I think Brad nailed it on the head. Where the value is in this fight is Gustafsson by decision. That's where the value is, at least. I think last time I checked it was like plus 500. Right now I have no idea. But that's where the value is. Am I betting it? Hell no. I mean, he's facing Jimmy the Witch Doctor Manawa. If you remember history at all, Mistress Manawa of Jamaica, they moved up to England. She was the most famous witch doctor of all time and placing curses on people, which that's total nonsense. But Jimmy Manawa is, I don't know how he does it. Dude, his nickname should be Jimmy the Witch Doctor Manawa. He just hurts people without hitting them. It's impossible. I mean, he's a dangerous striker. He hits people. I know Adam Martin's got a boner for him. People are really high on this guy. Like, he's a great striker. As far as I've seen, he's not a great MMA fighter. He doesn't have any ground game. His striking in the clinch is impressive for a striker. But aside from that, he wins by not winning. It's weird. He hurts people, and they get hurt, and he wins. It's so weird. I can't even comprehend. Am I picking Gustafsson? Obviously. Is this a dumb fight? Is this an example of where matchmaking goes terribly, terribly wrong? This is a terrible match. This is a guy who, even though it shouldn't have even been nominated, this guy just won Fight of the Year versus the champion. He gave him the best fight of his entire career, and didn't get an immediate rematch. Didn't even get a number one contender. Got a guy whose most recent win was over Ryan fucking Jimmo, and it baffles me how this guy, and if he wins this, he's gonna get a rematch. You can guarantee it. It's just terrible matchmaking, and they're putting a big risk here because Gus could get knocked out. Jimmy Manuwa is dangerous, and he knows black magic, and he can hurt Gus. And I don't know. This is a rough fight for me. Obviously, I'm not betting it. You have to pick Gus here. If I was gonna bet it, I'm going with Brad. I'm going with Gus by decision. I know 5 rounds. He's only been it once, and he went all 5 rounds. But he does tend to cruise if he doesn't knock somebody out right away. He does tend to go there. I was there in person when he fought Shogun. I've seen the Silva fight about 4 times. He does tend to cruise when he doesn't have that boom knockout at the very, very beginning. But you gotta pick Gus, but God, would you bet it? No, man. Unless you got some like anti-black magic charms, like you don't touch this fight.
Well, that was interesting.
That was something.
Well, I am very confident in Gustafsson because I see just no way besides freak injury like Mad Dog talked that he loses. I think Gustafsson's a much better striker. He's got the reach advantage. He's the better fighter overall. But I think he's going to end up taking him down and submitting him rather easily. I think Gustafsson knows the big money rematch and the big fight is coming up next as long as he gets by Manuwa here. So I actually think Gustafsson's not even going to strike him. I think he's going to take him down. I think he's going to submit him rather easily. I think Gustafsson's actually going to finish this fight in the first round by submission. So I do have Gustafsson to finish off a 3-unit parlay that I had with Hatsuhioki and Young Kim. And I'm also going to take a stab on Gustafsson by submission at plus 275. I think there's some good value there, and I think that's the way this fight's going to finish. I just think Gustafsson's the all-around better fighter. I really don't see a way he loses besides, as Mad Dog said, some black magic. So that'll do it for our UFC Fight Night 37 predictions. So we still got some time here. Let's go ahead and cover these Bellator 111 picks. I'll let Mad Dog break this down a little more than us, but for the most part, we're just going to give our picks here. So let's start in the heavyweight division. These will go towards our standings as well, as we have, I don't want to pronounce his first name, but Ivanov versus Rich Hale. Let's start with you.
It's Ivanov. Hold on.
Yes, it's Ivanov.
Alright, there, 5 beers down. Hold on. I gotta grab another one. Alright, so if you guys haven't listened to past shows, which you absolutely should have because it's the best show online, Blagoy Ivanov, I've been high on him. I've been saying he's gonna be the future champion. Obviously, Vitaly Minakov is a tall order. He's the best heavyweight outside the UFC, but if there's gonna be somebody outside the UFC to do it, it's going to be Blagoy Ivanov. And he's obviously, if you go back to shows, look him up, he's got stabbed in the heart, he got really fucked up, and he went into a coma for about 9 months, lost about 100 pounds, no joke, and then gained it back. So he hasn't been the same, his card's not the same, but he is in a very winnable fight. Many people aren't very high on Rich Hale. I like Rich Hale. He's a really cool guy. He follows me on Twitter. I follow him. He's going to have a bit of a striking advantage. Rich Hale's going to have a much bigger reach. He's about 10 pounds lighter. Rich Hale's actually put on some weight for this fight because he's finally adapting for heavyweight because he's not doing 205 anymore like a big dummy. But he does have a longer reach. He's a bit of a better striker to a point, and he does have some skill on the ground. Rich Hale isn't going to be just a speed bump here. Blagoy Ivanov, while he hasn't looked the same, he does have really good boxing, although a huge misconception is that he has power. He does not have power. He's got good combinations. He does work his combos. If he hits you once, he's going to hit you twice. He always throws the combinations, but he does not have knockout power. Don't misconstrue that Blagoy Ivanov hits hard. Where his talent lies in his sambo. He's a sambo champion. He beat Fedor when Fedor mattered, and he's got great throws, great chokes. I actually I have a 1-unit play and a parlay, two-man parlay. Blago Ivanov is going to start it off. I also like the over 1.5 in this fight. That was currently a plus money. I just see Blago Ivanov winning the striking or the grappling for at least a round and a half, maybe getting a finish later. I think Rich Hale gets a bad rep on his chin. He's only been knocked out by Mpumbu and most recently Ryan Martinez, which both of them hit fairly hard if they connect clean, especially Ryan Martinez. But yeah, you got to go Blago Ivanov on here. Especially at the current price, it's just kind of a steal. I only see him losing a decision. I don't see him getting knocked out or submitted, so it's definitely his fight to lose.
Brad, just a pick here from you.
I'm picking Blagoy Ivanov, but there's a little bit of trepidation there because he hasn't looked good since he came back from the coma.
Jay, pick here.
I'm going Ivanov by grappling. Rich Hale's like a dead fish. On the ground. It's bad.
Is he the only heavyweight to get an inverted triangle victory in MMA history?
That was at 205.
Can we even call Rich Hale a heavyweight? He's gonna wait. He's at cruiserweight for this bout.
He's at 243. He's at 243. I told you. I just said in my breakdown he gained weight for this fight. He's at 243. He's actually only 10 pounds less.
We're spending way too much time on this fight.
We have 3 minutes left of the show, so make it count. I'm taking Ivanov as well. Next up in the heavyweight division, we have Alexander Volkov taking on Mark Holada. Mad Dog, little tiny shorter this time.
So, dude, I love Ivanov, so I gotta go long. This I won't go long. Volkov sucks. He's a great striker. He's about fucking 20 feet tall, so he can hit you from across the ring. Mark Holada has a knockout win over Sean Jordan, so he has some power there. He does hit hard. He's got good submissions. He has an armbar victory over Vinicius Spartan, who just, knocked the ever-living fuck out of LeVar Johnson last season. But, so Mark Holada's kind of a wild card. This is a dog or pass fight for me. Volkov is like in the negative 400s right now. That's ridiculous. At negative 280 when he opened up, that made sense, but at this price you can't play it. I definitely like the over here. I'm going to be parlaying it in a very small parlay, but I like the over here. I predict Mark Holada called Volkov a point fighter. He's a point fighter. He doesn't hit hard, but he does keep distance. He is a very talented kickboxer, and as long as he doesn't hit the mat, this is Volkov's fight to lose.
Brad, who you got to pick here?
Mark Holada is going to wrestle Alexander Volkov, and he's going to win this fight. And I got a little half-unit bet on him.
Wow, you're picking him in the bracket?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Jay.
Balls.
This is going to play out like the Volkov. Balls. This is going to be like the Volkov Rich Hale fight, I think. Volkov via long distance jab.
Volkov Rich Hale was the worst fight I've ever seen, but I will take Volkov to advance here. Next up in the heavyweight division, we have Peter Graham taking on Mighty Mo.
You say that Volkov Rich Hale is the worst fight you've seen. Did you ever see Attila Veg versus Cristiano Mpumbu? It's two strikers that wrestle for 25 minutes. It's unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I remember that Bellator cut that out of their broadcast because it was so bad.
Dude, it was because they were on a roll. Dude, season 8 kicked so much ass. That was the only shitty fight that they aired for
talk about this awesome fight, because Peter Graham, Mighty Mo. It's fucking awesome. Talk.
Dude, I'm actually kind of pumped for this. People are talking shit about this. Hey, it's Bellator and it's the heavyweight division. What the fuck do you expect? Get your fucking head out of your ass. It's true. What do you expect? I'm excited. These are two K1 legends. This should be fun. This shouldn't hit the ground. Obviously, Mighty Mo displayed a ground game. Peter Graham displayed great takedown defense versus Chet Congo. Anybody says like he got his ass kicked, but hey, he should have been taken down and ground out in the first. He lasted all 3 rounds, so that was impressive. This fight is actually pretty fun. I've been going back and forth. There's no way in fuck I could bet this fight in any confidence either direction. Mighty Mo is obviously developing. Peter Graham's had more experience in MMA. This should just be a really fun kickboxing match. Obviously, I give Peter Graham the kicking edge. I want to pick Mighty Mo. I really do. I really want to pick him. But I'm just going to play it safe. I'm going to say Peter Graham by 3-round decision. I think it's going to be really fun for about a round and a half. I think the last round and a half is going to really suck. But I don't know. This could be intriguing. This could be terrible.
Brad, pick here.
I'm picking Mighty Mo because he's got an awesome submission game. But a bet that I actually like in this fight is the over 1.5. It opened at, I think, plus 140. It's down to minus 110. So both these guys are pretty difficult to finish other than by submission. And, Mighty Mo does have that awesome submission game, but I really don't think he's going to be able to get it working on Peter Graham until after a round and a half into this fight, and Peter Graham gasses.
I'm also going to be taking, Did I go to Jay? I'm drunk. Jay, who you got? Just a pick.
I'm going with Mighty Mo as well. I think it could be grappling the second half of the fight that may be the difference.
I'm going to go Peter Graham here because Mighty Mo is 48 years old and has no idea how to fight.
But he's got like 72 kids. He needs to win for those 72 kids to eat.
Feed the children.
Next up, we have LeVar Big Johnson taking on Ryan Martinez. Let's make this quick. We're running out of time a minute ago. Mad Dog.
You like we're running out of time? There's no fucking time limit. The show could be 3 hours. Nobody gives a fuck. We only got like fucking ridiculous amount of listeners. But
I told my wife I'd be done by 8:30.
Well, that doesn't count.
Either way, this is a fight I was looking forward to. If anybody was listening on our Bellator preview show, this was a fight that I actually mentioned that I wanted to see, and it actually happened. So it's kind of cool. This is a fun fight. Anybody's talking shit about this fight, you know, if you like heavyweight MMA outside the UFC, this is about as good as it gets. And if you don't think so, you don't know about heavyweight MMA outside the UFC. LeVar Johnson, he's obviously going to be the harder puncher. He's got great strikes in the clinch. He's going to be worse everywhere else. He cannot wrestle. He has terrible submission defense. Though it has gotten better, he cannot wrestle. Ryan Martinez is not going to hit as hard, but I think he's a better boxer. And by that, I mean, I think LeVar Johnson likes to come in a lot. He charges forward, which got him knocked the fuck out in his last fight versus Vinicius Spartan. Ryan Martinez does not come forward. He's like Rampage. He just kind of walks at a half-ass speed. He's going to be a little bit bigger here, and he likes to catch guys coming. LeVar Johnson does come in. I give him also a wrestling advantage and a big submission advantage, if that even comes into play. But I just see the only way, LeVar only has one clear way to victory, while Ryan Martinez has 3 clear ways to victory. So I'm going to play Ryan Martinez. I'm not gonna, the under is a little overpriced, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But I'm gonna take Ryan Martinez and Blago Ivanov at plus 210. I feel really good about that, just one unit. My only worry is that Ryan Martinez gets pinned up against the cage and gets hit with those fucking killer uppercuts from hell. But besides that, it's just really his fight to win.
Brad, who you got?
I like Ryan Martinez here too. I'm hoping to get him at minus 110 or plus money at some point, but it's seeming less and less likely.
Jay?
Yeah, I like Ryan Martinez too. Grappling game I think is key here. He gets him to the ground. Could even win by sub. Wouldn't shock me.
I'm going Big Johnson because of how fat Ryan Martinez is, and I don't like fat people.
And also Big Johnson's nickname.
Yeah, like the nickname.
That's why Lance doesn't like him. He's jealous.
I don't like fat people. I'm not a fan of fatties. Anyway, in the main event, we have Eduardo Dantas taking on something called Anthony Leone, and the line's currently set at minus 800. So I think I know who you got, but what you got, Mad Dog?
The ultimate fatty was Cole Conrad, and that was one of the best heavyweights ever. So don't even start with the fatty. This is a fucking squash match. This sucks. I was really looking forward to Rafael Silva versus Eduardo Dantas. That might have been the best bantamweight fight outside of the UFC in history, possibly, maybe. But that would have been fucking badass. That's still gonna happen, most likely. But looking forward to that. Anthony Leone is just not good. Renan Barão said it best. If you don't know, Eduardo Dantas is extreme training partners with Jose Aldo and Renan Barão down at Nova União. My avatar is currently the 3 of them holding their belts. Renan Barão said it best to Eduardo Dantas when he asked him for advice about Anthony Leone. He said, he's not a big deal. And he's not. Renan Barão, he went 3 rounds with Anthony Leone and won by an armbar, but it's just not a big deal. I like Eduardo Dantas here. He's currently negative 800. Not much to work with there. I love the under 2.5. I only got it at like negative 125. Currently it's at plus 100, which I think is ridiculous. Eduardo Dantas' speed is awesome. His hand speed, his head movement, his foot speed, everything is ridiculous. He's going to be so much faster than Leone. Leone has a good overhand right, but it's slow. He's an okay wrestler, but Dantas is better. He has almost no submissions, but Dantas' submissions are awesome. I definitely predict a finish in 2.5 rounds. I love that right now. I actually have a 2-unit play on it, and I just think Dantas smash. This isn't even close.
Brad, who you got?
Yeah, Eduardo Dantas is gonna destroy this guy. Basically, Leone is worse than Zach Makovsky at everything other than being bigger than Zach Makovsky, and Dantas smashed him, so, yeah.
Jay? Dantas?
Yeah, Dantas via whatever he wants. That's all.
I don't have the bracket pulled up. What's the bracket for the heavyweights?
LeVar Johnson, that doesn't matter. Ryan Martinez is gonna end up fighting Blago Ivanov, and Peter Graham is gonna fight Alexander Volkov.
So who's your pick to get to the finals?
Alright, well I think I want to say Peter Graham's going to beat Volkov, but I'm just going to play the safe route. I think Volkov is going to beat Graham, and I think Blago Ivanov is just going to smack everybody on the way to the title.
Brad.
I have Ryan Martinez taking on Ivanov in the second round on one side, and Ryan Martinez is going to win that fight. And I have Mighty Mo taking on Mark Halata, and I'm just picturing that fight in my head right now.
Your bracket sounds so bad.
This tournament sounds so bad. And let's see. I think Mighty Mo is going to make it to the final, and Ryan Martinez is going to win the final.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, God. Day.
Yeah, I have, I guess, Ryan Martinez and I guess Ivanov, and then Mighty Mo and Volkov. I'm going to say Volkov beats Mighty Mo. I'm sorry. Why are you so funny about that?
It's the second
Volkov against, I'm going to say Martinez beats Ivanov. And then I'm going to say, ooh, tough one. I'm going to go with Ryan Martinez wins the tournament.
Yeah,
fuck you guys. I'm going Big Johnson all the way home. I'm going Big Johnson.
God!
I'm going Big Johnson. This is strictly because of his nickname and the scar. I'm going Big Johnson over Ryan Martinez, and then over Blaga Blaga. And then on the other side, I got Volkov beating Peter Graham, and then Big Johnson just jizzing all over Volkov. Like, USA. So that's my bracket. You guys can laugh now, but Big fucking Johnson's gonna be jizzing all over everyone here this season. So deal with that.
Fuck out.
There's also a very good chance he loses the first round. The funny thing, I'm picking him to win the whole tournament. I wouldn't even bet him at plus money this first fight. Like, if you were like, hey, I'll give you plus 150 on Levi, I'd be like, make it 250 and I'll think about it. But, we'll go to the farewell questions and we'll say goodbye. So, just, quick answers here. Jay, are you going to man up and fly to Nashville and drive to Cincinnati with me for the UFC event?
I think the best part of this idea is going to Nashville. Like, Cincinnati's a terrible city. I don't know if anyone who's ever been there. It is god awful. It is, it's like nicer than Detroit or like Gary, Indiana, but it's not much better. The fight should be good. About 80%. We'll see, Lance. We'll see.
Brad, same question.
I've actually been to Cincinnati for a couple Reds games when I was younger, and I can vouch that it is a terrible city. But I'm considering making the drive down. It's about 7 hours from where I am, so maybe I'll make the drive down and watch some MMA with you guys.
You should pick Adam up and come down.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I'll talk to you about it.
Get Adam and James. Come on down. We'll all meet up, and maybe Mad Dog will buy a plane ticket to come from Washington.
We'll get him on the teleprompter or whatever.
Matt, I'm going to go in a different route for you. Our good friend Andrew Nixon just shaved his beard for the first time in about 1.5 years, I believe. I would like to know your thoughts on Andrew shaving that glorious beard.
It's really sad because he has a really thick Scandinavian beard is what it looks like. It's a little darker than most Scandinavian beards, but he has that thickness. Looks like a goddamn Viking, except for on top where he's bald as sin. But, God, I'm gonna miss that beard. Yeah, bald as Lance. I'm gonna miss that beard. It was really cool. When he does grow it back, he should go check out the modcabin.com, which sponsors my other show, Cage Cash, which is badass. But, up till then, I don't have much of an opinion on this, considering this doesn't have the fuck to do with anything about MMA. But, I hope Andrew grows it back, because I wish I had those natural abilities. Mine takes about 1.5 years to grow, and he seems to pump one out every 3 hours, so, more power to him.
He's a man's man. Anyway, I don't get to ask myself any questions, so no one involved me in these fun and games. But I'm sad about Andrew's beard. I'm going to Cincinnati, and hopefully Jay and Brad and now Adam and James and maybe Mad Dog will all meet me there, and we'll play craps. We'll get some hookers, do some blow. It'll be good times. Anyway, that's going to be it for the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week, and that's going to do it. So everyone enjoy the fights this weekend.
I can't wait to get the outtakes on this one.
Lance said that he's got, we have to go quick because Graze is on.
Yeah, I watch Grey's. You know, it's a good show.
Pretty Little Liars.
I do watch Pretty Little Liars. Excellent show.
That's embarrassing.
That is.
You know what? I like those shows. They're enjoyable. You know, there's a lot worse. Like I watch those. Like
If you really want to watch like a show like that, why don't you just watch porn, for God's sake, if you're looking for that kind of drama?
because my wife wasn't so. Hey, you want to watch porn with me?
Oh, you don't need to watch shows with your wife?
Well, you need a trainer.
Yeah, exactly.
It was when Nick Newell choked out Eric Reynolds and then left the XFC. I was sitting right next to his girlfriend. I had press credentials, so I only got them so I could sit close. So I sat on press row with no computer and just watched the fights. It was awesome.
That is nice.
Was his girlfriend hot?
Yeah, she had one leg. So 2 people in my office died in the last 2 weeks.
How did they die?
Both
One
drug
killed the other commit suicide?
drug overdose, both of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of drugs?
Both cocaine and Xanax mixtures.
What does that say about your company?
We're young and stupid.
They've got a good drug.
Yeah. Drugs are easy accessible near the office.
And they
we
can
make-
afford cocaine.
And we make enough money for cocaine and Xanax mixtures. I'm a horror. Dope.
I'm glad you said it, not me.
No, but Brad's the only person I ever ask MMA questions about. I usually do soccer or something.
You always
like that.
ask him something random, like, about, like, some fucking random ass show.
That's
Like,
why it's fun.
you think Brad is the answer to every show. Like, wherever it is. Okay, India Super Fight League. Brad, what do you got? Brad, EFC. What do you know about this South African Mongoloid warrior guy? Like, what do you know about him? What do you know about Zambia's top fighter? Like, Jesus Christ.
I've actually watched some EFC shows, so.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's not bad, actually. Like, the fighters aren't good, but the promotion does a pretty good job.
Is it better than KSW?
KSW is fucking awesome, alright?
I'm just thinking of, like, random, like, regional promotions that I think, like, actually draw an audience.
KSW is amazing. It's like if a guy from Japan who couldn't speak Polish or English explained Pride to a guy from Poland who couldn't speak Japanese or English. That's like what he pulled out of the translation and made KSW that imitation of Pride.
I don't even know what that means.
Sounds fun though.
Did you know that Lance has a version of Skype that can't even accept dick pics?